Welcome to Project Pack number 23. My name is Martha.
I'm Molly.
Hi, Molly. This year, we are celebrating Zentangle's 20th anniversary, and if you're just joining us now, well, you might enjoy the show, but I definitely recommend that you go back and watch the introduction to this great project that we're working on.
Yeah, it really does kind of give you all the background about what it is we're doing here, and the illuminated letter and the birth of Zentangle and all that fun jazz. And this lesson, or these series of lessons, are cumulative. So you really do want to go back and start from the beginning if you're just chiming in now. Martha, what do we have here for our materials and where did you get them?
All right. So, of course, with all of our project packs, this one is no different. If you did not purchase the materials, you are very welcome to follow along with anything that you have at home. We are working with some different tips on a black micron pen. We have an 01, an 05, and a 12, which is really
big one,
fun variation. And we have our graphite and charcoal white pencils as well. And that's what we're going to be using today.
And those are from the Project Pack 23 supply kit. So if you do not have a Project Pack 23 yet and you're looking for one, I recommend going to our website or from select certified Zentangle teachers, and that's where you would get this beautiful template as well.
Yes, a lot of thought has gone into this gorgeous template, and we are kind of chipping away at it now, and we've added several tangles over the last few days, and we're getting ready to add some more. And before we do that, we just want to take a moment to pause and maybe take a deep breath and get comfortable in your seat. And we like to start our Zentangle practice with a moment of gratitude. So if you have something you want to focus on and put your good intentions to right now, is the time. All right. So I am going to start off today with the Micron 05 black pen, which is kind of where we've been beginning with all these tangles.
Yeah, it's sort of like the middle of the other two. It's like we're adding fine details with the 01 and then inking in with the 12, which is, so it's a nice group of pens to be working with, but they all look the same, when we get them down on the paper, which is nice.
So today we are going to be creating something we called a betuide star, which sounds really fancy. What we've been trying to do with all the tangles is to give you a nice balance of different types of tangles, whether it's drama or grid or texture. We're kind of mixing all those in. And so here's going to be another element of surprise, I guess.
Yeah, sort of building sort of composition slowly with the thoughts that like any of these elements can be reproduced again later, but we'll get there. Be patient with yourself and the little elements here. They're good.
So we all have a different looking tile in front of us right now, which is actually really exciting to think about. And we have a varying amount of spaces that are left in different string lines. I'm going to show you where I'm going to begin this tangle, and then you can choose the right spot on your template, or perhaps add another line if it helps you create this tangle. So this betuide star is kind of a blossoming tangle. It's something that kind of is going to radiate out from the middle, and we're going to kind of get inspiration from where these two string lines cross, and that's where we're going to start. So if you have a space on your tile that gives you an area to work in where you have some crossed string lines, I recommend you start there. But of course, you can watch this first and then you'll be able to make your decision. So I see this cross here. I'm just going to kind of put a dot there where they cross. It's a little bit of an anchor for me. And I'm going to start to draw this star shape by retracing this string line that's already here. And I'm not going to go all the way to the edge here, but I am going to come close. And I am going to land sort of over here amongst this fife party.
The fife party? I want to go to a fife party.
These lines are not necessarily perfectly straight.
It's nice to use the string as like
Yeah,
sort
it
of
actually,
sort
it's
of
a little bit of
gives
a
you.
safety net.
Yeah.
And then because it's there, I am going to start at this point, but you can kind of decide how long you want to make your star points here. And again, I'm not going to go down quite all the way.
Yeah, I love the idea of choosing string lines that already exist if you have them, but if you don't, you can, if you want to put some down, that's great.
Yeah.
Or you can just do this like free.
So I'm going to do another stroke here, and I want to go right through the middle. I'm going to start right in this inky space here, because here it is. I can just kind of take off out of here. And then I'm going to reach for the corner. My line can kind of arc in that direction.
Nice.
So if you want to leave it at 5, you're welcome to leave it at 5.
6.
I'm sorry, 6. I don't know what I was thinking.
We did 5 before this.
We did 5 before that, yeah. I might add another one right here.
Yeah, go for it. Because you going behind there, it would be cool.
Yeah, I want to kind of play with this.
I like it.
All right, so to build the star, we're going to start by adding a point in each of these triangular spaces here.
Kind of in the middle.
Yeah, about, I don't know, 1/3 of an inch or maybe a pen width from the center.
And you kind of do it all the same way. It's not like...
Yeah. And it's just going to be a guide for us.
I love that process of just doing little things to kind of set up the next stroke. Like,
yeah, and it is. It's like connect the dots, you know, but you're kind of doing it all for yourself. And now I'm going to connect the center with a dot. And then this dot will connect to the end of the star. And it's going to start to take shape as we work our way around. All the way reaching down. And trying your best to rotate your template. And your lines will reach to the corners. I like how some of these star points are quite elongated and some are not, but we're kind of just reacting to all the things that were there. And you see how I'm like landing on that line that's there already, and it makes for a much more graceful connection.
Sweet.
There we have our star. It kind of sets us up now to add some other elements. Before we get to the betweeding part, while we have this simple star here, I'm going to add just a little element of, I guess, drama, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And before it gets a little complex with all of the betweed lines. So on these initial long star points here, I'm going to add just a little, kind of like a half diamond shape.
Oh, okay. Just like little...
Just kind of like a little, it gives it, I don't know, a little bit of an illusion of that part being up, a little fractal, like a diamond. I'm adding these on one side of each one of these long star points, all on the same side.
Looks awesome already.
So now we are going to add our little betweed lines, and we keep referring to them as an adjective, but it's just a method of layering lines that give kind of a weaving effect. So what I'm going to do is focus in on this sort of triangular space that's left by the star points. I'm going to start down here, and I'm going to land up here with just a little
curve at the end.
At the top, yeah.
Sassy, I love it. That's great.
And now I'm going to draw a mirror image of this coming from here, but I'm going to land just a wee bit down on the line.
With your little curve on the end.
With a little curve and to stick the landing that way,
I
yeah.
love that.
So we're coming up and then just a little curve right there. And then back and forth we weave.
Yeah, it really is a weave. And that the curve is very subtle. And I think the subtlety of it is what makes it interesting. It's like a braid.
Yes. And every time I do this, I'm sort of taking off from the star point, kind of re-emphasizing that line. And maybe I'll add one more.
Yeah, you can kind of go as far as you want. Like if you want to keep more star.
And you can go add more later, but we're going to start with that. And each one of these triangle spaces might have a different number of woven betweeds between them.
So the Tangle name, betweed, comes from a, I don't know if it was a newsletter or blog or something my mom and Rick wrote. And there was a typo in it, and it was supposed to say between, and it said betweed. And I think somebody pointed it out.
Somebody called them out on it.
Yeah,
and
they were like,
yeah.
And they're like, you know what? We're human too, and we make mistakes. And but let's just like to remind ourselves of, you know, to make this a beautiful thing. They actually named this beautiful tangle after it, and I always think that's so funny.
Yeah. So, like I said, we're going to make one pass around the star and see how far we get, and maybe we add a few more betweeds. The star is kind of already adding its own elements of texture.
Well, that worked out pretty nice.
I know. It's funny when you start to kind of intertwine tangles with each other, that they kind of tell you how to do it.
I know.
You come up against these lines and they let you know how to do it.
And Martha seems to be doing pretty good, but if you do, don't forget, like if you want to use that additional sort of scrap piece of paper to put under your hand to protect it because we have added shading, you can do that.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to switch out my pens. So I've got my 01 pen here, and I'm going to go back and just add a little extra ink here and there, a little bit of rounding, or just little bits of ink that kind of make it stick.
Hold it together a little bit.
Yeah, so everywhere that these little lines kind of came together, just a little bit of extra ink, just so that you can prove to everybody that you made it on purpose. And you really don't need much. And I'm doing that first little kind of where the three lines come together. And then also each one of these. I think just one little other detail maybe that we'll add with this 01 is just kind of a little echo of this.
Nice.
This little half diamond, just a little aura line.
Kind of assessing what you have there and being like, could I add something here or there?
And I am taking off and landing, so I'm not just drawing a harsh line. I'm kind of retracing here and landing. Just gives the line a different quality. I'm going to grab the 05 again, and if you so choose, you could do just a little bit of, jingle on the end of these.
It's very fescue-ish, I think.
So I'm going to kind of take off again from these lines that we've been retracing and just add a little
flair.
Just a little flair, yeah. It can go in different directions. This one might kind of break free.
Wow.
All right, so we're going to put our pens away for now and add a little shading. And I think I'm going to focus on these sort of betweed areas here and try to leave that star shape, the original star shape, alone. So I'm just going to add some kind of shading underneath the ink that we just put down. Just kind of spreading it out there.
Nice.
Leaving that star shape alone.
I think that's a really good practice to get into, Martha. Like first, kind of leaving something and then playing around with like sitting with it for a little bit and then saying, okay, do I want to leave it or can I go back? But you can't really shade it, unshade it. So
yeah. Right. And because this is such a big composition, we want to kind of see as we get closer to the end, like how things are.
Yeah, I really consider this kind of like preliminary shading. We'll definitely be adding more.
Preliminary shading.
Preliminary shading.
Yeah. And we kind of do this a lot where we put graphite where there's a lot of ink and it almost seems like, well, why do you need that? But it's all about different shades of gray, right? So the extra ink adds one element of darkness and the graphite gives another.
Shading is beautiful.
Let's look at another location here and figure out what we want to do. So I think I've figured out where I want to put my next little starling, as Molly called it. I think that's adorable. And I've got the 05 out again. And I've decided to sort of tuck in just a few star points up in this corner here because I've got a nice string line and that's inspiring me to have that be my starting point. So I'm going to start right here, right under this printemps, and have this be my first star point. Might leave a little space for you-know-what at the end. And then over here, I will imagine that this is under here, and we're going to have another one. Comes out about this far. And perhaps there's one right here that you can't see. So there's a lot of imagining, but we're going to do it. And we're going to start with that little point right here, coming from the center that you can't see. Right?
Yeah.
And then reaching down. Reaching down. And then this one, perhaps right here. Reaching down and reaching down.
Nice, there you go.
That's
Just
all we
peeking.
need. Yeah, it's just a little peek.
Yeah.
So we have our little cute little between starling over here, just kind of tucked in, floating somewhere underneath everything.
I love that, Martha.
But
love
it's really adorable when you look at it all together. It's starting to really come together.
We always encourage people to take their time on these project packs. This is all your journey. Don't worry about how, we have to get them done because we have to get them all. We can't spend months on a project pack, but you can. So do not worry about this. You can do one tangle that takes you a week, and that's fine too. So don't worry about it.
Absolutely. So we're going to do a little muka now, and this is a fun muka. It's actually borrowing some elements from another tangle we love so much called halaba. Now we're going to kind of follow by some more traditional rules, and we are going to pick a space that has been defined by a string somewhere on your composition.
And if you don't have one, make one.
If you don't have one, that's it. Make one. So for instance, I'm going to choose this space right here. You can see the string line, and I'm just going to kind of tuck it in right there. I'm going to grab my 05, and yes, we are doing muka, and that might be familiar to you, but this time we're going to layer these muka strands in a halaba way. But I'm going to just kind of have this muka grow out of the printemps right here, right out of this little corner, and stretch across my space. So I'm going to come out of my printemps over here, And this is where Hollabaugh comes in. I'm going to stop, jump over that line, and then come back down and do the same. Now that's kind of what we're going to do, but we want to fill this whole space. You can turn your piece and come from another direction also. Maybe they bump one another. Crisscrossing your way. Well, I was thinking that one of these guys might just go rogue.
Awesome.
So I think I'm going to stop at this point, and then we're going to add some other elements.
A little flare.
A little flare. So inside each one of these spaces that's sort of left behind, we're just going to draw a series of auras. So say I've got this space right here. And I drew an aura inside that was similar to the spacing of all the other muka. And then because I can, I'll do it again until I can't.
There you go.
And some of these spaces are a little different, right? So taking your time. And if you can squeeze another one in there.
This is very fun.
I'm responding to all types of spaces. Like if you can't make a line go all the way through, well then you just stop. Yeah, it's a neat texture. So I'm going to cap my 05 and pick up the 01 just for a little bit of this little rounding underneath each one of these mukas. Just kind of actually helps the muka stand out.
Good point.
So we're going to shade this section just pretty simply by adding some graphite around the edges.
Definitely.
Just like a pretty hard line of graphite. But when I get to any muka shapes that might be on the edge, I'm going to skip over that. I really want to keep these muka balls, I guess, preserved.
Bulbs.
Bulbs.
Muka bulbs.
And now I'm going to just smooth that out, and I'm going to kind of pull it into these areas where I did all my aura lines. Kind of fade it into the background. Again, leaving those bulbs completely left. Maybe yours are white, but maybe they're a different color. Maybe you have some pink or blue or whatever pencil you were coloring with, watercoloring with. Shading around the entire tangle is a great way to do it if you just aren't sure how to shade something that you're working on. Going around the edge like that, this helps. And if you wanted to add a little bit of white in some of these areas that are in the centers, just a little bit. Just bring in another dimension of color. And now, well, we're going to choose another spot. Again, it can kind of fit into a lot of spaces, but I think I'm going to try to put something
I was thinking the same thing.
up here.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great spot.
All right, so we've got our kind of muka texture, muka halaba, and then we put a little bit of it right up here.
Love it, Martha.
Kind of just like this little guy that comes out. I don't know.
like
He's my
that little guy.
favorite. He's my favorite. Yeah, so we're really building up here. There's a lot going on, and we've got more to come.
We've got more, but this is really coming along. And as you build your composition, just remember that we're putting these things together, but there's always going to be this opportunity later where we can add like more muka, more printemps, and all that. So this is sort of like the preliminary.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's really fun.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we will look forward to seeing you again very soon for some more tangling on Project Pack 23.
Thanks, Martha.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.